The name of the book is called In God We Trust, the Dollar We Worship. Because it's not what you earn, it's what you keep that matters, and it's all God's. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Losant. Thanks for joining us on the Sam Losant Show. My guest today, the author of this book, Don Galade. He has been on the show a number of times. He said he was working on his book. It's called In God We Trust, the Dollar We Worship. A little bit about Don here. It says, once Christ, this is what Don has to say, once Christ got a hold of his life, things changed forever, including the way he ran his practice. His focus has changed from seeking fortune to telling the good news as it relates to how we are to utilize what God has given us. Don, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
It's been a while, huh, since you've been working on this book?
Yeah, it's about almost 3 years in the process.
The book is fascinating. I want to tell you, I didn't read all of it. I read about half of it so far, but what I've read so far is very interesting. Okay, now my question to you, as to people who do not know you, who are you?
Okay. Well, for 25 years, I've been a financial advisor. There's pretty much only 3 things in my life that I've done. Financial advisor, musician, and of course I'm involved with the pro-life group. And at one point or another, it seemed like one job took preference over another at different times of my life. And then it was, as I started writing this, I kind of realized it was all ties together. And it was just pretty interesting that sometimes we can't see the forest through the trees, with regard to where we're supposed to be in our life. But I got a little bogged down with, having clients. First of all, when the market's good, you're a hero. When the market's bad, obviously you're not a hero. And likewise with any of the products that our practice offers. But I just kind of felt like there's got to be more to this than just what about making money for somebody. And one day I was reading the Word of God, and all these scriptures involving money jumped out, and I really didn't see a correlation. And then I was flipping through the channels, and I was scrolling through some of the religious channels, and there was people on there preaching about money. Still didn't see the correlation. And then I put on a Christian radio station, and there was people on there talking about it. It just kept happening over and over and over and over and over and over. And finally, I just felt this urge that I was to write a book, which is pretty funny because I'm not exactly well versed in the King's English.
And savage. Real talk, no filter on Savage Unfiltered.
Really good guests and personalities and stuff. Jump over to matchmaker.fm. A lot of interesting people on that website. So big hat tip to matchmaker.fm. Before we bring him in, guys, I'd like to explain to the listeners here that this gentleman here is an international best-selling author, as well as a Christian filmmaker and a financial advisor. Wow, what a mix, huh? I mean, an author, a Christian filmmaker, and a financial advisor. How does that work out? We're going to find out, guys. But I want to bring him on. This is Donald Galade. Did I pronounce that right, sir?
You're close. It's Galade.
Galade, okay. The E is short
right.
Then, I guess, right? Or the A is short?
There you go.
One of those syllables.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about, as I opened you up, you are a best-selling author. You're also a Christian filmmaker, and you're also a financial advisor. Within that group of titles, which one came first? Because I'm curious now.
Well, actually, there's one more that's not in the bio. See, I grew up being a musician. I was third-generation musician in my household. My dad actually, who's 90, used to work with Patsy Cline. From there, I became a financial. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So from there, I became a financial advisor, and that was 1986, and that really is what paid the bills. That's what I still do today. Ironically, as a musician, I joined a worship team at a church that I started to attend. From there, met some folks that we really clicked. We started doing a Christian rock band. We recorded some Christian music. And then one of the gentlemen in that group, in the rock band, if you will, who I played with in secular rock bands, was a filmmaker. He actually taught film at a vocational technical school in my area outside the Poconos. And in between there, I became very active in a pro-life group. So the pro-life group, we started to think, hey, let's make a video about the March for Life, because we went to the March for Life every January. The March for Life video turned into actually a movie about the woman who actually saved a baby. Well, she almost saved a baby that was alive from an abortion, because she was a brand new nurse in the 70s. And that's where the film The Voice of John came about. You can find that on Amazon or go to thevoiceofjohn.org. But from there, became very active in my faith, became very active in our church. My wife was on a missions trip to Africa. I was playing Mr. Mom because we were homeschooling at the time. And
oh, wow.
Started scrolling through the channels, and I was on the religious channels, just scrolling through, and every person I turned to was talking about money. And I was like, oh, this is what I do all day long. I don't want to talk about money. And
I don't think anybody wants to talk about money, Don.
Exactly.
It's least of everybody's worries.
Well, I became this personality that, like, people say, well, what do you do? I said, well, I talk about all the stuff you're not supposed to talk about at a family dinner. God, politics, money, and it's funny because from there I wrote a book about God and money. Then I wrote a book about just money. And my latest book...
Yeah, I was checking out the book that you just mentioned. And very interesting type of book.
Thank you.
I went on Amazon and I looked at the preview, and wow, there's a lot of detail in there.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's heavy. It's not something that
it's a little heavy. Just warning my listeners, guys, if you're going to pick up Don's book here, I suggest it. It's very heavy, but yeah.
Well, which one are you referring to? The newest one or the first one? The latest one is called...
The first one, the very first one, yeah.
Yeah, the first one is In God We Trust, the Dollar We Worship. And it talks about what God says about money. And I thought it was kind of funny when I was researching this, that God talks about money more than anything else. I'm like, come on. And true, it's true. And so that was fun. That was fun. The latest book that I did, I released it. I've been working on it for about 3 years. And... I released it on December 5th of last year, and in 2 weeks it became an international bestseller. It's called Awoken, and the byline would be Awoken. Yeah, conspiracy or theory. That's the byline from it. And
now, is the Awoken does that have anything to do with the woke agenda, or
that's exactly what it does. It started off as a spoof, and it turned into realizing that, it's kind of funny because everything I'm about now came to fruition in Awoken, because what Awoken is first of all, it talks about the wokeness of the world. But it also shows that, I was always a conspiracy fan, and.
Yeah, me too. I dig into them like really, really deep, because I want to know the hidden truth. Because throughout every conspiracy, there is hidden truth that
Absolutely.
You may know or you may never hear in your lifetime. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And, it's funny, this AI, chat GBT kind of stuff that, I'm an old man, so that's for you kids to worry about. But I found that it spills the beans on a lot of the conspiracy theories, because I guess they didn't catch that yet. But ironically,
I'm right around the corner from you, Don. I'm getting gray in the beard, and my whole back head is all salt and pepper. So right behind you.
Well, yeah, the flesh tone is the part that bothers me the most.
Yeah.
But I kind of look.
They have infomercials for that, Don. Just putting that out there, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I was a client once.
Yeah.
I tried to spray stuff. That wasn't cool.
Oh, you tried to spray, it didn't work?
Yeah, it was kind of nasty. But I digress. But the funny thing that I found was the conspiracy theories are actually talked about. A lot of them are talked about in the book of Revelation. And when you start digging into the conspiracy theories and you start digging into what is really going on, you start to realize, oh my gosh, everything I'm about, the conspiracy, the money, the faith-based stuff, the Bible stuff, it all comes together. And I was like, oh my gosh. So if you're a conspiracy theorist, you'll like Awoken. If you want to dig about, what is Christianity about, you'll like Awoken. If you want to hear the truth about people like Mr. Rockefeller before he became famous, and if you want to hear the truth how every United States president in the last 100 years had a piece to play about the part we're in right now, willing or not, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
I mean, you dig it up really, really well. I mean, I noticed that you go into the Illuminati and the Freemasons. Let's talk a little bit about that. What's your views on the Illuminati and the Freemasons?
Okay, so what I find interesting. First of all, let me digress 1 second. The book is like 270 some pages. When I first started actually putting it together, it was like 600 pages. My wife said, "Nobody's going to read this," and I'm like, "You're right," because I spent ridiculous amounts of time on each topic, and it was too heavy. It was way too heavy. But here's the interesting thing: these groups. First of all, they all do exist, right? So, I mean, we could just dispel that. They truly do exist. But what we find is they're interconnected. They actually work. They all have the same agenda. And a lot of people are going to get a little upset when I say this, but the concept of the entire book, from the first page to the last page, is it's good versus evil. Okay, now
you have to pay attention, Don, because if you don't, man, you'll lose people. People really have to pay attention. And I'm not blaming you. I'm just blaming the attention span. Sometimes people,
absolutely, and that's why I had to dumb down. I didn't want to say it that way. That's why I had to cut out a lot of stuff and just talk a little bit about snippets of each group, because I just wanted to say, listen, I'm not here to preach to you. You can go do your own research and you can develop your own opinions. Yeah. My part in this is to just bring to fruition the data, and then you compare what you think. But in the good versus evil concept, it's pretty much...
You'll see some people twisting the language, though, Don. You got to be careful with that. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Totally.
Especially in today's society. I mean, you can write something about, Satan and Jesus Christ and the Antichrist and, Illuminati and witchcraft, and they'll take an entire narrative and they'll create it like with a snap of a finger.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's just how society is today.
And that's what the purpose... It's true.
That's how it is.
Yeah. Sure. And that's what the purpose of this is, because I want to give you a little tiny bit of data on what they're about. Then I want to show you the 30,000-foot view. So whether you believe in Satan, whether you believe in Jesus Christ, whether you believe in conspiracy theories, that's not my deal. My deal is, here's what the world says. Here's what the Word of God says. Here's what the media says. And now let's pretend, if you don't believe in those things, let's just pretend it's a movie and it's the good guy and the bad guy. All right. Yeah. So ultimately, even those that don't believe in any of this have to at least agree that there is some kind of force that is positive and some kind of force that is negative. There's something controlling both of those forces. So go out on a limb with me here, and let's say it's Satan and let's say it's God. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, if you unpack all of the junk that's going on in the world, you could see the correlation. If you talk about history, and I dig into each president in the last 100 years, there's a whole section on the presidents themselves, which ones belonged to Skull and Bones and the Illuminati, or which ones were allegedly part of...
Yeah, I wanted to get into Skull and Bones. I did, but hold that thought. I do have to get a quick plug-in, if you don't mind. Guys, for those who are big fans of HelloFresh, they're now sponsoring the show here. I want to thank you to HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit in the entire country. I love HelloFresh. For those that are not aware of HelloFresh, guys, we put up this QR code. Scan it today, guys, and they have amazing promotions going on right now on their website. Some of the best, freshest ingredients. You guys are getting tired of going out You know, you're getting tired of going to that restaurant because half them guys, I'm not going to lie, they use companies like Cisco and not that stuff is, you know, it's not the greatest type of food. Half that crap is not even, you know, freaking fresh. Hello Fresh is, guys. Scan it today. You're going to be happy. Back to the show here with Don. Sorry about that, Don. I got to get him
right.
in. So.
Hey, gotta pay the bills, man. You know?
You do have to pay the bills. So let's get a little bit into these skull and bones, because I noticed that it was used, you know, you mentioned in your memoir there, through your bio, that it was used by the Antichrist and Satan. What's that all about?
Okay. Well, going back to the good versus evil concept.
I noticed you just paused, so the listeners are like, okay, we really have to listen now. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. And my name ends in a vowel, so I talk with my hands. I'll try to keep them out of the frame. So
I'm New York, Don. It's a given. You know, I'm originally from New York City, so
nice, awesome. So, good versus evil. Evil would encompass everything that has an agenda that is against good. So ultimately, when we digress and we talk about each of these groups, you can at least agree that they have an agenda that's not that of something that God would bless. So therefore, the creator of evil would then be the person. I'm not saying they're all devil worshiping organizations, but their agenda is not something that you would find in any of the books of the Bible that is positive. Okay, now I like that. So now you have a
Why'd you go that route, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it's funny because you could actually. I'm trying to weigh my words carefully as to not sound. Good and evil are polar opposites. Everything that is good cannot exist in the same space as that which is evil. So if you have an organization that's doing satanic rituals, that's doing sacrifices or all of these crazy things that I don't want to actually talk about right now because I don't want to offend a lot of people that may not have done their research yet. But ultimately, they're not of a positive realm. Therefore, if you have a president who is affiliated, accused to be affiliated, or proven to be affiliated with those entities, and then you dig into the concept of that particular president. For example, if you have a president in our past who promotes abortion, it's obvious that that is not something that God would bless. So,
well, can't you agree before you go there? Can't you agree, or could you agree to the former presidents? You know, we're getting into presidential level here with all this stuff you're referring to. Most of our former presidents, Washington, just to name a few, maybe Jefferson, were all forms of a Freemasonry, right? I mean, they were Freemasons.
Absolutely. Well,
so
there were.
Don, oh, I'm sorry. When people think of Freemasons, do you see cultivism there a little bit or no?
I do.
You do?
When you dig in now in Freemasonry, for example, there's levels. Okay.
Right.
And there's Catholic versions that are similar into Freemasonry too. But on the surface, when you join in, like I was a member of the Knights of Columbus, and no disrespect to the Knights of Columbus, but on the surface,
they're everywhere. Yeah.
on the surface, they're awesome. When you start to get higher up in this food chain, and I'm probably going to irritate a lot of people with this comment, but when you get to these, 20, 30 degree levels, if you will, that's where the truth is revealed, and that's where the secrecy comes in, and ultimately, look for fruit. If you see fruit in somebody's life, then obviously the source of that is something positive. If I hear that there was a particular gentleman who was a president who happened to be part of any of these organizations, and the fruit of his presidency was negative. If there was a president that was, for example, a warmonger and actually wanted to create civil unrest and wanted to create racial divide and wanted to keep people under the auspice of poverty, is going to be a generational skipping thing, and because they're all on welfare, and the welfare was used as a tool rather than a hand up versus a hand out. And you can't say that any of that is positive. You can't say any of that is of a good nature. And then that particular same president has this thing where he says, I go to church every day. Well, you know what? That don't matter. If there's not fruit that can be seen that is positive, that is something that other people can say, you know what, politics aside, he was a good man. So, we mentioned like Washington and some others. They're phenomenal people from what we know from history. I'm not saying anything about the founding fathers that's negative, but where were they on that spectrum? Were they the base level, or were they way up? We don't know.
Politics was looked at a whole different level back then.
It wasn't a job.
Yeah, it wasn't a job. I mean, they didn't care about their paychecks. They weren't. You had slim to none career politicians. First of all, they weren't making half the money that they're making now. It was literally for and by the people. Like, when the hell was the last time you heard that sentence or that term? It's been a while.
We were probably babies when they cared about it, and I'm not saying that I'm Democrat or Republican.
Go further back. I mean, go back to like probably like the 40s, possibly the early 1900s. Yeah.
Well, in my book, I talk about the last 100 years. Okay. And I didn't find, now whether it's Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. There wasn't a lot of fruit, regardless of which side of the aisle it was on. There was a lot of things.
The political puppets, so to speak. You didn't have a political circus like you have now, right?
Correct.
You didn't have all that theater and all that nonsense of spin and narrative. I mean, Democrats, they could care less about what Republicans were doing, or Republicans were, thinking that Democrats were doing. They weren't combating one another. They were actually working for the people,
Correct. And I think there needs to be a house cleaning on a political level, and in my opinion, my humble opinion, I think they all need to go, and we need to start over. Okay, of course, that would be extremely radical, but isn't that what happened in 1776? I mean, what I saw was, let me fast forward to the Book of Revelation and back up. Okay, when you go into the Book of Revelation, it basically says this, that there will be a time where there will be a one world government, where there will be a one world economy, there will be a one world leader, and there will be a one world currency. That is biblical.
You're seeing it right now. It's unfolding right in front of our eyes.
Okay. Now let's back up. If you're paying attention really, really well, folks, you're seeing it right in front of your eyes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hence, Awoken. Okay, so that's where we're going. Whether you believe it or not, it's not for me to decide. But that's where we're going. Is this what
you're referring to, Don, in your book? The church woke up. Is this what you mean?
Sadly, no. Sadly, the church.
No? Okay, maybe
the church has become woke. The church has become woke, and the church is now assumed. I don't want to preach the truth because I don't want to offend my people that are giving money. So they're instead of waking up, instead of saying, look, people, this is what Jesus said, they're like, well, we can water down the gospel a little bit so we don't offend anybody. Not cool. Not cool. Okay.
No, not cool at all.
Absolutely. So when we work backwards, as I said, now we have things like, the World Economic Forum. We have things like the UN, which has sanctioned Israel like 40 sometimes in the past 30 years, where they've sanctioned other companies, hardly at all, but other countries, excuse me, where when you start to see these world run political organizations, you can see the one world government forming. When you hear things about the Great Reset, the so-called Great Reset, well, in order to reset, if I reset my breaker, it has gone off. It has killed the power. It has been terminated. So how can I reset an economy until it's destroyed? How do you destroy an economy? You got to destroy it financially. You got to destroy it, the stock market. You got to destroy the banking. You got to destroy the food source. You got to destroy the energy source. So how do you do that? Well, you've dumbed down all of these areas into what I call 7 pillars. And there are 7 pillars. There are 7 areas where people, you got media, you got government, you've got religion, you've got education, and all of these areas.
Yeah, I was going to say, hold that thought. You're just opening up a segue here for your next chapter of what you're talking about here.
Thanks.
Don has, folks, literally a goal of success, so to speak. Before we get there, guys, I do want to plug this here. An amazing sponsor that's been with us for, almost, a year now. Blackout Coffee. It's literally the coffee for America's warriors. Literally. I mean, guys, if you're getting tired of the oily, rundown crap, I can't stand it. It's garbage. Used to be a big fan of Folgers and Maxwell House when I was growing up. But I heard about this company, and I'm like, man, I got to jump onto this coffee. Started out with a gentleman, a young entrepreneur with a dream, literally a dream. Would visit all these different types of countries, such as Cuba, Brazil, parts of the rainforest, and he's seen this coffee there of the freshest grinds possible. So he came up with a concept to bring it back to the United States and created this company that you see here on the screen, Blackout Coffee Company. Literally, guys, scan this QR code today, guys. Use promo code SAVAGE for 15% off. You're going to get amazing deals. Some of their products, guys, I love. Some of my favorites. 2A Guns and Gadgets, love it. So patriotic. Brutal Awakening. Some of what, Don and I are talking about on the show. Awakening, Woking, right? I mean, I love the names that this guy came up with. Scan it today, guys. You're really, really going to be impressed. Back to the show. Don, I want to get into this final segment here with you about the goals of success. Now, you have a plan. I'd love to hear this plan on how, America can become more successful, because I was checking a little bit out of that, and I do want to get your insights, sir, on that.
Well, success is relative. Okay, because if somebody's not happy with what they're doing currently, they're going to strive to the next level. But somebody could be totally happy with that. So, what I consider to be, what I would say would be success, would be for there to be peace, and I don't think that'll ever happen. And the Bible says it won't until the very, 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 very end. But ultimately, it boils down to, where are you in this spectrum of good versus evil? Okay. If people say, well, listen, I'm a good person. Well, there's good people that could sadly go to hell. There could be people that feel like they've been awesome their whole lives. The question is
that your vision for financial health, though? Is that kind of leading to what you're saying?
Well, I'm talking more of a spiritual thing where there's salvation in somebody from a soul level. Okay? When you've reached that, when you know that Christ is living in your heart, everything else falls into place. Okay? You don't have to love money. You'll be able to appreciate what you do have, and you'll be able to use what you do have to help others, ergo fruit. All right. If I'm giving money to an organization, but I have a big check that I'm showing on Facebook, me and the person I'm giving the money to, sorry, that's not fruit. That's advertisement. If I'm giving money to an organization, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
Yeah.
God sees it, not Facebook. Okay? That's fruit. That only comes from knowing your creator. That only comes from having a relationship with God. So ultimately, when you see this world has basically been from Genesis, Satan plagued Adam and Eve, and they fell. Okay, and from then until the very, very, very last day of the book of Revelation, which is the Battle of Armageddon, which I stood on 2 years ago in Israel, changed my life. Point is, from the beginning to the end, everything in between is us. Everything in between is history. Everything in between is the first person who lived and the last person who will live. So ultimately, none of it really matters unless you know where you're going when you die. All right? We could be taken out today. We could live another 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know. But the point is, there's so many people that are angry. There's so many people that are frustrated. There's so many people that are miserable. There's so many people that want to argue over everything. And the term Karen for a woman who wants, I want to see your manager, and what, all that junk, all that crap. You don't see people that are happy almost about anything. You cannot dispute that is in some type of evil force blanketing the world. Okay? So ultimately, pick a side. Good or evil, pick a side. And
we're going to have to.
In between,
we're going to have to, Don. It's coming to that breaking point. Every great empire reaches its climax. It's a point of no return. Like you said, Don, pick a side. You're either going to choose evil or you're going to choose good. Now, if you choose evil, well, what's your result going to be?
Well,
nothing positive about it, right?
Correct. Even if you don't believe what's written in the book of Revelation, even if you don't believe what's written in the Bible, even if you choose to disagree or even or be agnostic of it, that's your choice. That doesn't make it untrue. That just makes it untrue for you. Okay, so if I'm wrong and there's nothing left after we die, no big. If you're wrong,
big. Hey, your choice. Your choice. Guys, we're running low on time here with Don. I know he only has a limited set of timing here. I do want to thank him for coming on the show, explaining some of what you can hear in his books, whether you choose his first or second book. Don, I really want to give you the floor, pal, with the promotion here, because sometimes like the links, I don't want to plug the wrong link. What's the best way that they can find some of these books for for their own leisure?
I have an author page on Amazon, and I find this is to be the best way. I don't want to stock all these books and have to mail them out. I just let Amazon deal with it. Okay. I make less money, but guess what? Why reinvent the wheel? So if you went on Amazon and you Googled my name, Don Galade, or Donald, I don't know which way they have me, Galade, and you go onto the Amazon bookstore on there, you'll find all of my books. There's actually 4. We didn't talk about other ones. But if you just Googled my name, because the books hit the international best-selling status, I've actually done this. If you just Google my name, some of this stuff starts coming up. Or if you go to my personal website, dongalade.com, or if you can go to my business website, which is gfs-advisors.com. Any of those sources will lead you to a link where you can find the books, or you can even just Google the latest book, Awoken, Conspiracy, or Theory. It goes right to the Amazon page. So my goal is to educate. My goal is not to stuff something down your throat. You believe it? You don't? Fine. I'm giving you data. You could take that data and research it, make your own opinion. And I'm blessed and I'm appreciative of the time that you've allowed me to be on your show. And I thank the people that are listening. Visit these sponsors that this wonderful man is pitching here, because that keeps the bills rolled. That keeps the bills paid. So do what this gentleman is telling you to do, because he's spot on with the people he's helping. Yeah,
and it's all about, giving promotion to those that deserve it. And this gentleman here, Don, came out with some amazing books. Check out his book, In God We Trust. My favorite. I love that one, by the way.
Thanks. Appreciate your time.
I picked it up. I'm going to pick it up. I read the preview, Don, but I'm going to pick it up, actually. So
thank you.
Don, thanks a lot for coming on, buddy, and enjoy the rest of your day, man.
You as well. Thanks for having me on.
All right, take it easy. All right, guys, you just heard Don Galade, a profound. The words, I'm blown away by this man. Some of the stuff that I've heard, amazing, very informative. The book we just discussed, one of the books, he's got 4, he said. In God We Trust. I read the preview, guys. Check it out today. Check it out on Amazon, anywhere a book is sold. You're really, really going to be impressed. Guys, thanks for dropping by on the live stream here on X. Remember, guys, if you miss these live stream snippets, remember, we don't always, plug in full-blown episodes, depending on, the guest, of course, and the material, right? I felt that this episode deserved almost a full-length episode here on X live stream. I do want to encourage my listeners to check us out on Rumble. Just Google search, or in the search bar on Rumble there, guys, Savaged Unfiltered. It's going to pop right up. As well as the Spotify app. Now, let me say that, guys, and go into my wording correctly. You will only see full-blown episodes, video episodes, okay, on Spotify if you have the app. A lot of people are emailing us and saying, we can't get the video podcasting on Spotify. Well, not for nothing. You're probably going to the website. I need you to download the Spotify app, and you will see both video and audio. You have a choice on the Spotify app. Spotify has just made video podcasting available. I think, Shaky, about maybe 6-7 months ago. So it's fairly new. So check us out over there. And that's about it, guys. If you want to check us out anywhere else, we are also available on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora. If you have smart devices, just tell Alexa, hey, Alexa, play the Savaged Unfiltered show, and we pop right up. Amazing, guys. You have so many different types of options and decisions. Decisions. See? The decisions are in the grasp of your fingertips. Thanks very much, guys. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your week.